That this is the last leg and the last day sa atong series of regional fora for the MSN search for the best MPAs and best MPA network in the Philippines. As we begin the search for the best marine sanctuary or marine protected area in the country. The enabler of Del Carmen's fame for the Galing Folk Awards, the current regional winner for Region 13 for the search for Malinis Masaganang Karagatan or MMK.
The journey of conservation and protection starts with the local leadership, recognizing ownership of the problem and understanding the root cause of the problem. It is with great honor to share the story of Del Carmen's mangrove conservation and practices. I am again Alfredo Coro, one of Del Carmen's environmental frontliners and primary storyteller.
A coastal forest that holds an exceptional level of biodiversity.
Regular monitoring of the ecosystem and enforcement of laws strengthened our policy and gained the trust of the people pabalik sa atong gobyerno.
A habitat in need of protection and conservation.
Having various stakeholders as co-owners of the plan and the vision, sustaining their interests became a very important strategy. Having had already co-owners of the plans and vision, we can now proceed to co-creating solutions.
Del Carmen, a mangrove paradise of its own.
The purpose of addressing poverty and hunger to encourage hope and participation. We target the youth of today who will become the leaders of tomorrow. The Mangrove Ecotourism Program is a community-based initiative that the local government runs with illegal fishers and illegal mangrove cutters who became both tour operators and mangrove warriors. We created a new industry which triggered local investments for restaurants, homestays, transport service, to name a few. Capitalizing on our revitalized ecosystem, the local government and our partner launched a king crab program and other livelihood initiatives.
How did the social protection program came to life?
With available employment, business, and livelihood opportunities, there's still a social risk that we have to cover for the people. The social protection program through Fish Forever ID allows lower premium for PhilHealth, Pag-ibig, SSS, and Red Cross, and also access to CHED and TESDA trainings. When we did a survey of the fisher folks before, one of the problems we found out was wala sila ID. So since they didn't have an ID, it was difficult for them to access financial support from banks or any other financial institution. So we thought of developing the ID just to give them an identity and they be proud to become fishermen na nag-transform na illegal. What we realized was even with the ID, dili gihapon sila pwede mo access sa social protection mechanisms kay unat mahal man ang SSS. They are not treated as entrepreneurs. So lisod ang mechanism for them to access mga insurance, mga ana, which is necessary for the work they do because it's very risky to be on open sea, maski near shore fisher ka. So we started talking first to SSS. It took us actually 2 years before we could get them to accept the fisher folk as a micro entrepreneur. They have to fall under a entrepreneur na classification. The next step was to convince them to lower the premium. Okay, risk averse baya ang atong mga fishermen. So gamay lang ilang threshold. The same process we had to do with PhilHealth, Pag-ibig, until we got them all three to become part of the program. Then we got Red Cross because of the accident insurance. So when we compiled them all, took us again good 3 years. It gave them that dignity nga ang atong fisherman since dignified na, they are now parang murag recognized na ba ka sa gobyerno nga kuang ka nga you're a professional fisherman, you're allowed to access this benefit. So mao na siya ang nakanindot. We just had a challenge with the BIFAR system kaya nga mong gigamit nga ID, so that official gyud siya nga ID is the BIFAR ID. So nagka-problema man ng system for almost I think 2 years before na plaster gyud. So natanggong tong uban namong mga ID, but we are now in the process of releasing all the remaining mga 900 ka ID.
Yes, is there a plan or was there already a move to harmonize the mangrove plan crafted and mentioned by Vice Mayor Coro with a C+ management plan, since the mangrove conservation program implemented by Del Carmen is a very notable one? I want to know more details regarding the Del Carmen's Climate Resilience Center. Does the center offer formal training degree through the State College? She's a true advocate for marine protected area and environmental protection. Ms. Genevieve Cruz, the program coordinator of the Hingoog Bay Alliance. Mayang hapon, Ma'am Jen.
Mayang hapon, Sir Lito.
Nakaisog nga coastal law enforcer sa Tibok Pilipinas, no? Nganong nahimugso man ng alliance? Kung sabi hinungdan, what was the trigger nganong naghimo mo ang alliance?
Common to everyone na atay problema sa in terms sa kanang environmental. We experience massive encroachment sa commercial fishing, and to tap it all, kulang kaayo or limited kaayo atong resources sa matag local government. So kinahanglan gyud naatay inter-local cooperation, magtinabangay ta kay wa tay mahimo kung magtinagsa ta sa kada LGU. So we have to act immediately. So we have to help each other. We have 3 level of management sa atong alliance. We have the executive board, which is composed of the 5 mayors, the provincial governor of Misamis Oriental, and the first district congressman of Misamis Oriental. Then the second is the project management office, which I head, and we have the technical working group, which is composed of the national line agencies actively operating within the area, and all the departments of the local government, as well as the industries, the private, the academic, the religious sector, and the indigenous people, as well as women. So we are want to serve, to have a good service, klaro nga service yung kinahanglan gud sa atong community. So inana ang atong way of life.
There's a really good support from the provincial government. I think only a few alliances has those luxury actually. And then there's a mention on one of operations in the memorandum of agreement. And I think you do regular meetings also.
We have a unified ordinance nga kuan good, focusing on the welfare of the fishery sector, and we do also mainstream our priority plans and projects sa Hingoog Bay, which we are revisiting every 5 years into the annual investment plan. In terms of enforcement as well as conservation sa atong mga environment is natay klaro nga rule sa matag player kay player sa mga stakeholders, kabalo sila unsay ang ilang mga responsibility. We have created a task force on anti-illegal logging, wherein we're so fortunate enough that we have a very active Senro and the Penro Misamis Oriental. The issues we encounter, we make it sure that it is well researched and consulted. ang atong DOJ through our provincial prosecutor gladly assists us in all our undertakings on the illegal logging. Vertical habitat is not in Consuelo. It's in the Candies, San Isidro, and Damayuhan. We have three barangay, coastal barangay that was with critical habitat through our administrative order from the DNR number 2. But the Alliance supported that through the creation of the task force for Kawikan, originate some the LGU Magsaysay. The Alliance supported it through IEC, policy formulation. We have the implementing tool for public awareness, which is our Sangguniang Kabataan, to help us for the proper protection and conservation sa marine turtles. Thank you.
A marine biologist by profession, of course, an environmental advocate and professor. Yung efforts niya on culturing and reseeding giant clams have prevented the extinction of the Philippines sa mga tridactyl na yung mga giant clams. Engaged in the archery, reads to river and reef management of the Cagayan de Oro River Basin Management Council.
Attempt to connect the ridge, with the reef through the river, and this is an effort of two management bodies that we have supported. So on the coast, it's called the Makahalar Redevelopment Alliance, and for the river basin, it's the CDO River Basin Management Council. What we are really focusing on in our work here are these ecosystem services, and in particular, those in the marine. So we call it MES. And what are these in particular? These are what we call as the direct or indirect services that we get from the environment. You've heard of the two talks, very good case presentations in Del Carmen and Hingoog of the role of the mangrove as the buffer, but also the role of carbon sequestration and the water quality and the maintenance of the microclimate by the marine environment. These are things sometimes we don't consider. The LGU has the power, but it has so much limited knowledge. The academe, in particular, partners in the coast have the knowledge, but doesn't have the power. So in our case, we really use science to convince these different local government chief executives to work with us in the baywide management. We have an intercropping style of restoration so that people can have income as well. Still have a long way to go. If you notice in the map, the greens are where the restoration efforts of NGP and INREMP are, and the reds are the ones we need to prioritize for the restoration for erosion. Yeah, because we don't want to reach this stage where even the fish have to use artificial oxygen or sterilized water to survive. Thank you.
How active is our LGU in the alliance and the conservation?
It depends sometimes on who your local chief executive is. In the past years, they were very active, and then later they were not. Last mayor, she was the chair of the alliance. So you see how active that was. They are quite critical in the alliance because they have the bee farm agriculture park. And we've been very cautious to ensure, because they are at the eastern tip of the bay, the effect of, fertilizers and all will eventually go into the inner bay. So that's it's a bit sensitive. So that's why Palingasag's role is very much critical in the alliance as well, ecologically.
So what should our LGU contribute in the efforts for the upland and the bay?
Well, for the contribution is ensure your annual contribution is regularly released. So that's a big help, financially for restoration. But marine-wise environment, you really have to be very careful with the mariculture park. Okay? It has really big impact on the whole bay. Upland, they also have, we didn't include in the animation because we're still working GIS and all. But they have a very big river basin there as well, ang Balingasag. So we need to work that out eventually also. We're still sort of piloting everything with the CDO River Basin, but hopefully in time we will expand to the rest of we wanted to create this corridor dito of a landscape seascape. If you notice, we went as far to Agusan River.
Is there a plan to make polluters pay for the environmental damage their activities upstream inflict on the coastal areas through the polluters pay principle?
One is we're putting that polluters pay principle. We have a WACMA board, which is very much active here in DNR 10. We hope that they will take that on. But instead of a polluters principle, what we call as a payments for environmental services, where we ask people to pay something for the ecological service that is being provided by the environment. So it's not really directly working with them, Mike, in terms of a penalty, but a softer way to go around.
How much is the annual LGU contribution to the alliance?
Actually, we're a very cheap alliance. We use the class of the LGU, so it ranged from 20,000 to 70,000. If we have 1 million from the province of Misaur and 1 million from the Cagayan de Oro City as the chartered city. So those two are the major contributors. But if you base it on the MOU level of class, it's very small. So we get grants from other agencies like the OSC, Pensi, partner with Rare before, to supplement it.
Yes, the search is on for the 2021 Para Elmar MPA Awards and Recognition. So, Para Elmar MPA Awards and Recognition is a biennial event to recognize and showcase Philippines' best performing marine protected areas. So, you can now start submitting your NEET and mangrove forms. So, make sure na ginawa siya within January 2020, starting January 2020. No, but you can still submit naman until next year, February 2021. And after makuha namin yung mga forms, we can then start by March yung initial na shortlisting and selection of evaluators. So don't forget the submission of nominations, which is on February 28, 2021 next year.